Imagine for 200 years people went mad digging the soil of a small island. But the treasure, it was only in stories. Every time the hope was broken, every time the mystery deepened. But this time the circumstances are different. History Channel has announced what no one had expected. The treasure of Oak Island has been found. But wait, it is not just about gold and silver. What has been found can get the history books rewritten. Amidst old maps, strange tunnels, and centuries-old traps, the team found something that blew everyone's mind. The cameras were rolling, but believe me, they did not show some things on screen. Rick and Marty Lagina had that sparkle in their eyes, but also a slight panic on their faces. After all, what was it that was found along with the treasure that in a second silence replaced the celebration? Some team members even left the place, and those who remained, there were questions on their faces, not answers. It is being said that the real game has just begun. This was not just a treasure hunt, but the unraveling of a secret that had been hidden for centuries. Is this really a treasure or something else? The footage that is about to come might change your mind forever. And believe me, the next twist is so big that you will forget to blink. So, if you don't want to miss the next part of this mystery, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. The real truth is yet to come. Think back to the 1700s. The internet, TV, radio, there was no such thing. News was spread by word of mouth, newspapers, or by ship. And then strange stories began to spread about Oak Island, a small island near Nova Scotia, Canada. It was said that there was a treasure buried somewhere here, hidden by a famous pirate or a mysterious group. Some said it was Captain Kidd's treasure, while others thought it could be the sacred treasure of the Knights Templar. The real twist in the story came in 1795 when a boy named Daniel McGuinness noticed a strange round hole on the island. The hole looked as if it had been dug and covered up by humans. He called his two friends and they started digging. Initially, they found a layer of wood a little below the ground. They thought this is the door to the treasure. But as they went down, a new layer of wood was found every 10 feet. This place later became famous as the Money Pit. But the real game started from here. As the digging went deeper, strange traps started to appear. There came a time when water suddenly started filling the pit as if there was a secret canal somewhere below which was connected to the sea. The team tried to remove the water but the pit would fill again in a short time. In the 1800s many explorers and companies came. Everyone thought that they would find the treasure. But every time either there was a flood or a trap worked or the digging became so expensive that the project had to be abandoned midway. Even many workers died in accidents, due to which the rumor of Oak Island curse started spreading that until 7 people die here the treasure will not come out. Year after year, attempt after attempt, explorers have found only clues. Strange writing on stone, old chains, mysterious pieces of wood. But the real treasure, it has always remained a mystery. And this history, this incomplete search makes Oak Island the world's biggest unsolved treasure mystery, even today. What started as a small hole has now become the longest and most dangerous story of treasure hunting for centuries. The story of Oak Island may have started in the 1700s, but the biggest credit for bringing it back to life goes to two brothers, Rick and Marty Lagina. Both of them are from Michigan, USA. Rick was crazy about the stories of Oak Island since childhood. In 1965, he read an article about the mysterious treasure of Oak Island in Reader Digest magazine. He was only 11 years old at that time, but that article set his mind on fire. I have to find this treasure. Rick's passion kept burning inside him for years. While Marty's perspective was a little different. Marty was business-minded. He had big companies in the energy sector and had also made a lot of money. But seeing his brother's passion, he thought, okay, if this treasure really exists, then why not find it? And even if it doesn't, it will still be the biggest adventure of life. In 2006, both the brothers together bought a large part of Oak Island. Now, it was not just a dream, but a full-time mission. They formed a professional team, brought in the latest technology, and set out to find the craziest treasure in the world. But the real explosion happened when History Channel decided to bring their story to TV. The show The Curse of Oak Island launched in 2014. People went crazy for it from the very first episode. The reason it was not just a treasure hunt, but a great mix of history, mystery, technology, and brotherhood. Rick always appeared more emotional and dedicated in the show. For him, it was not just a game of getting gold and silver, but a childhood dream that he was fulfilling. On the other hand, Marty was more practical. He paid more attention to budgets, machinery, and decisions. These different personalities of both of them looked even more interesting on screen. In every season, new clues were found, old secrets were revealed, and sometimes there were such twists that the audience would go crazy waiting for the next episode. The show featured not just the treasure hunt, but also the myths, folklore, and spooky stories of Oak Island's curse. The show quickly became a worldwide hit with millions of people glued to their TV screens each week waiting to see the Lagina brothers' next move. For Rick and Marty, Oak Island was no longer a project. It was part of their lives. And that's when the search began that revived a 200-year-old mystery and maybe the closest it's ever gotten to its destination. Excavations had been going on for years on Oak Island, but most efforts were made using old-fashioned methods: shovels, drills, pumps, and a lot of handwork. But times had changed. The Lagina brothers thought that if the treasure really existed, we would have to bring in 21st century technology to find it. The first thing they did in the new season was to use ground penetrating radar, GPR. This is a machine that creates a 3D image of what is inside the ground. It is like taking an X-ray without digging. The team used GPR all over the island, and the results that came out surprised everyone. Strange shapes under the ground, patterns like straight lines, and some signals at depth that indicated the presence of metal. Then came the metal detector survey. This was not a common metal detector that finds coins on the beach, but an industrial-grade machine that could detect metal even hidden at depth. During the survey, at some places, the machine beeped so loudly that excitement immediately appeared on the faces of the team. Those points were marked as red zones on the map. And then came the turn of high-tech drilling. In the olden days, digging meant digging large trenches. But now, these people used a thin, high-power drill to enter the targeted area directly. This saved less time, less cost, and directly reached the place where there was the highest chance. The samples from the drill contained old wood, metal pieces, and some strange stone layers, which surprised the team. By combining all this data, the team made their initial theory that treasure is probably in a sealed room or vault, which is deep and is surrounded by layers of stone and wood on all sides. The pattern of the red zone looked as if it was a map in which every point was telling a big story. Rick's theory was that this vault was probably built by the Knights Templar or some other secret society so that the treasure and artifacts remain safe. Marty, on the other hand, was more practical. For him, this data was just a way to get to the real place. The cameras were rolling, the air was cool, and every member of the team felt that this time, perhaps they had reached the closest to the place that people have been trying to reach for 2 centuries. Excavations had been going on for years on Oak Island, but most efforts were made using old-fashioned methods: shovels, drills, pumps, and a lot of handwork. But times had changed. The Lagina brothers thought that if the treasure really existed, we would have to bring in 21st century technology to find it. The first thing they did in the new season was to use ground penetrating radar, GPR. This is a machine that creates a 3D image of what is inside the ground. It is like taking an X-ray without digging. The team used GPR all over the island, and the results that came out surprised everyone. Strange shapes under the ground, patterns like straight lines, and some signals at depth that indicated the presence of metal. Then came the metal detector survey. This was not a common metal detector that finds coins on the beach, but an industrial-grade machine that could detect metal, even hidden at depth. During the survey, at some places, The machine beeped so loudly that excitement immediately appeared on the faces of the team. Those points were marked as red zones on the map. And then came the turn of high-tech drilling. In the olden days, digging meant digging large trenches. But now, these people used a thin high-power drill to enter the targeted area directly. This saved less time, less cost, and directly reached the place where there was the highest chance. The samples from the drill contained old wood, metal pieces, and some strange stone layers, which surprised the team. By combining all this data, the team made their initial theory: the treasure is probably in a sealed room or vault, which is deep and is surrounded by layers of stone and wood on all sides. The pattern of the red zone looked as if it was a map in which every point was telling a big story. Rick's theory was that this vault was probably built by the Knights Templar or some other secret society so that the treasure and artifacts remain safe. Marty, on the other hand, was more practical. For him, this data was just a way to get to the real place. The cameras were rolling. The air was cool and every member of the team felt that this time perhaps they had reached the closest to the place that people have been trying to reach for 2 centuries. The sample that came up after drilling made the entire team's heart beat faster. Buried between the soil and rocks was a shiny piece that showed a golden glow when light fell on it. At first, it seemed that it was an ordinary piece of metal. But as soon as it was cleaned, different expressions came on everyone's faces. Surprise, happiness, and a little nervousness. The piece was so heavy that its weight seemed strangely more than its size. Rick picked it up in his hand and immediately realized that it was not an ordinary metal. There was fine carving on the surface. The patterns were so intricate that it was clearly visible. This is the work of a very skilled artisan. Some designs looked like old European style, while some symbols were such that they are straight out of history books. Marty immediately said, "This will have to be sent for lab test." But Rick's attention was on those designs. He took out an old folder from his bag, which contained copies of old maps and documents related to Oak Island. He compared the symbols on a map to the engravings on the piece, and the match left the room stunned. The symbol was also on a map from the 1600s that mentioned the vault, a sealed room that was said to hold not just gold, but something that held significance for the whole world. The team immediately contacted historians. When they saw the metal piece, their first reaction was, this discovery is more than just gold. They said that the metal was very rare and the technology used to make it was quite advanced for that time. Some even said that it could perhaps be part of a religious or royal treasure that was brought here and hidden centuries ago. For Rick, this moment was not just the fulfillment of an old dream, but it was a sign that he was on the right track. Marty, who always thought practically, also agreed this time that it was not just a matter of precious metal, but of a hidden chapter of history. The cameras captured every moment. The whispers among the team, the faces bent over the documents and the shiny piece that was perhaps the first glimpse into Oak Island's biggest secret. But the biggest question still remained. If this is just the beginning, what will the real treasure be like? And can it really be brought out safely? Every episode of Oak Island feels like we're there. Every drill, every discovery, every clue unfolds before our eyes, but the reality is that what you see on TV isn't the whole story. In fact, a lot of what happens is cut in the editing room. And that's what makes this discovery all the more mysterious. In the latest season, when the team excavated in that red zone, there were some moments during shooting that did not make it on air. Crew members say that at one point the drilling was stopped because there were strange vibrations coming from under the machine, as if there was a hollow chamber in which something was moving. The cameras were on, but this footage was not shown in the episode. There was a strange fear within the team as well. Some people were clearly saying that what we were going to touch should probably not be touched. There was also a debate between Rick and Marty on this. Rick was saying that we should bring it to the public, while Marty believed that it was important to understand it in a safe way first. The reaction from the production team was also interesting. Usually they show any major discovery with a lot of drama, but this time they kept a very low-key approach, as if they didn't want the footage to cause too much of a stir. Some crew members even said that there was pressure from the top on the show to not release certain scenes to the public. And then comes the biggest question of all: was an artifact really found that was hidden? Insider reports say yes, a metal object with strange symbols on it, similar to those of ancient religious or mystical orders. It was captured on camera, but just hours later, it was packed in a sealed case and sent off-site. The footage was never aired, and neither did History Channel say anything about it in public. This was the moment when theories and gossip started spreading like wildfire among fans. Some say it is a relic of the Knights Templar, some claim it is part of an ancient machine, and some even believe it is evidence of a civilization that is not even recorded in history books. Whatever the truth is, one thing is clear: what we see is only half the story of Oak Island. The real adventure and mystery is probably hidden behind the camera. And that is where the answers the whole world is looking for are. The Oak Island team always hoped that if they found something, it would be gold, silver, or maybe an old chest. But this time, the excavation took a turn that shocked everyone. While the debris from the drill was being cleaned, a strange piece of metal was seen. At first it seemed that it would be like other metals, but when the soil was removed from it, strange markings were seen on its edges. These were not ordinary scratches. These were very thoughtfully made patterns, as if someone had engraved a special message or code. Rick took the piece in his hand and looked at it carefully and then looked at Marty. Both of them knew that this thing was not common. The style of the markings did not match any modern language. There were some circular designs, a cross-like shape in the middle, and very fine lines on the edges as if they were part of a map. The team immediately called archaeologists. They examined the piece, but their reaction was strange. First, they showed deep interest, then suddenly became silent. He just said, "This is very important, but we will not give any public statement about it right now." Meanwhile, the media also got a whiff of this discovery, but the reporters who came to the site were given only basic information and were prohibited from asking more questions. Even some interviews that were shot never came on TV. It seemed as if someone was controlling the whole story from above. Marty later told a crew member off camera, "This is not just a story of finding treasure. Now we are touching something that can change history." Rick also said, "This story is still incomplete. What we are seeing is just the beginning. The real answers are probably buried many feet below." This discovery changed the game for the team. Now, it was not just a matter of finding gold or silver or becoming rich, but it was about solving a mystery that has probably been kept hidden for centuries. And to be honest, the more they dug, the deeper the mystery became. There are as many theories as there are mysteries in the discovery of Oak Island. And these theories are not just the words of fans, but also the guesses of historians, researchers, and experts involved in the excavation. The most famous theory is the treasure of the Knights Templar. It is believed that in the 1300s, the Knights Templar, which was a powerful religious and military order, had precious gold, sacred artifacts, and perhaps even the Holy Grail. When they were threatened in Europe, they hid their treasure in secret places. Some historians believe that they crossed the Atlantic by ship and reached Nova Scotia, and Oak Island was the perfect hiding place for them. Another theory says that the secret of an ancient civilization is buried here. Some people associated with Vikings while others with Phoenicians. These were seafarers who used to travel long distances thousands of years ago and left their mark all over the world. Oak Island may be one of their old trading posts where they hid their valuables. Another interesting speculation is that religious artifacts are hidden on Oak Island. Ancient scrolls, sacred books, or evidence that could change the story of history. If so, it makes sense why some of the footage and artifacts are being hidden. Some experts even believe that the mystery of Oak Island is tied to a major historical truth, one that has been tried hard for centuries to keep from coming to light. This truth could be about an empire, a religious power, or perhaps a forgotten civilization. Whatever the truth, these theories get more intense with each new clue about Oak Island. And now, as the team uncovers clues that have no clear explanation, the question is intensified. Are we just getting close to treasure, Or are we on the doorstep of history's biggest secret? The Oak Island team has clearly said, now we will go deeper. The clues that have been found have further boosted their courage. Rick says that now they will not just dig on the edges but will directly reach the point where there is the most hope, meaning that in the coming days the machines will dig deeper and the danger will also increase. But this is not just a technical challenge. Now the matter can reach government interference under the laws of Nova Scotia. If something of historical or religious importance is found during the excavation, then the government can ban the site. Some inside reports also say that some departments are already keeping an eye on it. And if a sensitive thing is found, the search will be stopped immediately. And then comes the thing that always surrounds the search for Oak Island, the rumor of a curse. It is said that until 7 people lose their lives here, the treasure will not come out. So far, 6 deaths have occurred. The crew members themselves admit that misfortunes are more frequent here. Mechanical failures, flash floods, and bizarre accidents that don't occur at any other site. Marty, always practical, also admits strange coincidences are common here. But Rick's fears aren't a reason to stop. He says, if we stay here, the secret will stay hidden for the next 200 years. The question now is, will the team be able to overcome government obstacles, increasing dangers, and stories of a curse? Or will Oak Island keep its secret buried once again? So many years of hard work, countless excavations, new technologies, and hundreds of clues. But what is happening now on Oak Island is not just a treasure hunt. It is the beginning of changing history. The team is now standing at a turning point from where taking just one step forward can reveal the truth hidden for centuries. But what will come with this truth? Gold, silver, and wealth, or a secret that the world is not ready to hear? This is the suspense that has kept this story alive till now. It is clear in Rick's eyes, this is not just a project, but the mission of his life. Marty, who always believes in logic and planning, is now convinced that something very big is buried here. And if it comes out, then perhaps many history books will have to be rewritten. But the biggest thing is this story is not ending here. The clues that have been found are just the beginning. The real explosion is yet to come. And believe me, what will be revealed in the next season will shake your mind. Maybe it is the answer that hundreds of people have been looking for since the last 200 years, or a new question that will push us deeper. So, if you don't want to miss the next step, the next twist, and the next big revelation of this search, then subscribe to the channel now and turn on the notifications, because when the next secret of Oak Island is revealed,